Welcome, everybody. This is Charles Cook. Great to be with you this evening. We are live. It is Sunday evening. I forget what day it is, but it's Sunday evening. It's the Sunday before the government is required to produce their status report in the DV2020 litigation. Felt it was important this evening to give people an update, let them know what it means this week and where we are going from here. First of all, I want to thank everybody for sending in their declarations. I was talking to Phil this evening. His wife graciously cooked for us and his three children. Phil has three children. And by the way, grandchild number 8 came this week. We're very, very excited here in the Cook household. But I was talking to him about it, and he thinks he's gotten 2,000 declarations. Now, obviously, we don't need any more declarations. So as of right now, don't send any more. All right. We may, after this week, we may want some for a final kickoff, but I think we'll be able to get to the point with the judge. And so no more declarations as of right now. You don't need to say anything more. We appreciate all the remarkable work some of you did. I mean, you must be lawyers because you wrote some really great declarations, and I'm just so very grateful for your participation, whether you're a plaintiff or whether you're not a plaintiff. And we're just so grateful for your efforts to help us help you hopefully move this forward. Now, one of the things I want to talk about, of course, everybody knows, tomorrow, the government has to provide to the court by the end of the day, which is midnight Eastern time, a status report on what they've done. The court didn't invite us to do a status report, the plaintiffs, but we're going to do one anyway. But we're not going to do ours till we see the government's. Here's the thing. Thanks to Britt Simon, who posted, I think you all saw his video. It's fantastic. If you're not subscribing to him, you should be subscribing to him on YouTube. But, you know, he did a great analysis of how many people the government set for appointments. You know, when you think about the low-hanging fruit that the government had here, there were probably, best guess, 300 or 400 people who needed visas reissued. Really, a literal clerical, one phone call. Hey, we noticed you didn't use your visa to America. It expired. You want to come on in and we'll get it done? Literally a phone call. To people that had been interviewed. They literally had to process the visa. That's all they had to do. If the medical was still valid or ask you to go get a medical, they didn't need a new appointment for that. That was literally a clerical act. The people that had been set up for an appointment, you didn't need any more. Maybe you need to update your medical, maybe not. But still, they just had to set an appointment. This is not hard. Now, for those that were still at the KCC, we'll get to the KCC in a bit. It's a nightmare, I know. I can't force them to go faster, but the judge can. And so what the judge wants to see, I think, now I'm trying to read Judge Mehta's mind and his writing here. I think what he was trying to do in his order by asking for a status report that he moved up is to find out how fast can the Department of State process visas. Now, we're going to provide the court with the historical analysis of how many cases they can normally do. Now, if they do about 50,000 a year, consider it probably 3,000 or 4,000 in just status in the United States, they can clearly do one a week, 1,000 a week. It's a no-brainer. I mean, they can do 1,000 a week. That's what they do on average. Now, we all know, for those who have been around the lottery for 30 years like I have, they do a lot of those in August and September. They do a lot at the end of the year. They're supposed to pace them out. Now, we know this year, you know, of course, the government did not tell the truth about this. They said they'd only done 3,000 as of March, which was insane. Our numbers show they did about 13,000 by March. But still, that's half the year. They didn't issue 25,000, so they were already slow walking the DV lottery, and that's of course because Trump hates the lottery. We all get the reason why. So I think what the judge was trying to see how fast the state can do this. I think initially because he's probably never really dealt with the lottery before, and of course he's not an immigrant. Most immigrants don't even know about the lottery. He probably thought, you know, hop pop, let's get this thing done. I don't think he really appreciated, certainly at the KCC side, what had to be done in order to get to a consulate. But I think he was curious. And I think that's why we had the status report. Now, why? Other reason? Well, I think he's clearly determining, it's in his writing, in his order. Does he have to extend the deadline? He didn't want to make the decision. We asked him to make the decision in August. Actually, I asked him at the beginning of August. And in September, he said, no, I'm not making that decision. So he hasn't denied that. He is concerned about his authority, his legal authority to do so. Now, we believe we have given him legal cover, and in his district, a judge has extended the lottery previously. No judge in the 30 years of its existence has extended the lottery for everybody. No judge has done that. The statute says it has to be processed by 9:30, but there has been a demonstrable intent to not process DVs starting earlier in the year. We have the evidence of that from the government's own mouth. One thing I'll tell the judge next time I talk to him is, Judge, if we believe the government's numbers, they only did 3,000 of 55,000 by the 6-month mark. That's literally bad faith. But like our numbers, 13,000 by the midway mark, literally bad faith. They're not trying, Judge, and they're not trying now. So we think they're going to come in tomorrow, and it's in writing. There's no court. So everybody's asking, what's going to happen to court? When's the judge going to make a decision? Not yet. Not yet. Because the judge is going to get information. The judge is gathering information. He's probably going to ask, my guess from their status report after this. But what he's going to see is that the government has processed in the 2.5 weeks since his order, they have processed less than 1,000 people. And I don't even think they've issued, as far as I can tell, they haven't issued 1,000 visas. That means they've moved along 1,000 people. 1,000 people don't have their DVs. And honestly, a couple of thousand should have had their DVs if just the people who were interviewed, scheduled for interview, and had needed visas reissued. They could have done those automatically. Now, we do have a couple of our plaintiffs that have already entered the United States, because if you had your visa on April 23rd and you get a new one, you can come to America now. There's no bar for you. And so a couple have already come into the United States, but even our plaintiff, everybody's complaining about the plaintiffs. Plaintiffs stepped forward. One, they took the chance to sue the government. Everybody thinks now I can sue the government. But they stepped forward, but they're not, in the context of getting preferential treatment, honestly, a lot of them have been screwed too by this delay. And I would say less than a third have their interviews scheduled. I'm going to look at the sheets a little bit later tonight. But people just aren't being interviewed. And yes, there are non-plaintiffs in some places that have been interviewed, and maybe a couple have been given visas. I don't know. I know in one consulate, they've interviewed lots of people and put everybody on administrative processing, so nobody got a visa. We get all that. So first of all, again, reminder, no new declarations. No new declarations. We know what's going on. All right, so you don't need to keep sending any emails to me or to Phil. We're ready now to respond. Now, if there's something crazy that happens to you, let us know. There's something crazy. Like I got a call from the ambassador and he invited me to come in and get my visa. That would be amazing. Get it to us. It's not amazing to say the KCC is not responding. Their message says they're closed for bad weather. By the way, the KCC bad weather voicemail was recorded a year ago. It's just a recording. It doesn't reflect current conditions. All right, so they're not having bad weather. I know people have been saying naps. What's the bad weather? It's not bad weather. But if something happens to you specifically, please let us know. But we don't want everybody to tell us the same thing, because it's just clogging up our inboxes and making us less effective as your lawyers in this case. So we think the state's going to come along and they're going to say, hey, we did this many cases. The KCC processed this many phone calls. The KCC sent out this many cases to the consulate for interview. The consulates, I don't think he's going to give us a breakdown by country, but they might say this many consulates have been interviewed, this many people, and this many visas have been issued. I don't think they're going to spend a lot of time on the nightmare they created in people's lives. Yes, Azerbaijanis, I know you can't go to Georgia because even though Georgia will let you in, the consulate won't see you for 14 days. or people going to Abu Dhabi from Iran, and they get there and Abu Dhabi says, you're golden, you got to watch, everything's good. Consulate says, wait 14 days. We get that's intentionally not obeying the judgment. That is the literal definition of bad faith. We have all of that. We have your affidavits and declarations. We're in good shape. So they'll produce that. I don't think they're going to do it by noon, by the way. I would suspect later in the day. The lawyers for you, and these are the lawyers that Jesse Bless, Curtis Welton, that work for they don't all work for Ayla. Ayla is Jesse Bless. Everybody else is different organizations. Karen Tillman. We're going to meet at about in the evening, and we're going to talk about the government's response. Here is how I'm going to outline mine. We're going to actually draft the ACRE response, and if Gomez wants to join us, they're fine. But we're going to outline our response basically like this. This is, the government's watching. Thank you, James, for watching, but I don't think they are. We're going to say, Judge, here's what your order said, and here's why you ordered it. Here's how a DV visa is processed. Just real quick, a couple sentences. Boom, 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 boom. Here's how it's processed. Here is what's happening on the ground. Now, Judge, I'm going to tell you about Egypt. I'm going to tell you about Abu Dhabi. I'm going to tell you about Georgia. I'm going to tell you about Moscow. I'm going to tell you about London. I'm not going to tell you about all 190 consulates that issue DV visas. All right. And there are a couple consulates that done a great job. They really bent over backwards, helped other people. They really bent over backwards. Others have just said, heck with you. To heck with you. So we're gonna summarize this, Judge. We're just telling you what's really going on the ground. And by the way, Judge, we have an expert affidavit from this Brit guy named Simon. And here's what it says. Here's the historical analysis of visa processing. Here's what they have done as of yesterday. Judge, you can see that they are literally making no effort to ensure the greatest number of people are processed by year's end. And in fact, Judge, the only conclusion that you can take from this evidence, the only conclusion is that you must extend the date. It is the only equitable solution, and you should extend it for as long as they were closed. And that would push us into February. Now, if we can get an extension into February of the DV2020 selectees, not everybody's going to, as I've said in every video I've done, 83,000 people got selected, only 55,000 are coming. You understand that. Not everybody's coming. Just a little over half of you were coming. Some of you were never going to get the visa. And yes, they probably should do it in number order, but that's ultimately up to them. But people ask, what's the chances? People DM me, what's the chance? Look, I don't live in Las Vegas. All I can tell you is what I see as being an option for the courts moving forward. And I think his best solution is what's called equity, because legally he can't extend it, but in equity he could, as a solution to a problem caused by the government themselves. Yes, some of you have sent me, in 1998, Congress extended the lottery. True. Congress can do anything it wants. We're not in Congress. There is a bill pending. That bill has zero chance of passing. Zero. All right, so forget about it. Now, also, I know that they're processing 2021 cases. Why they're doing DV 2021 cases when they're in an emergency situation to process DV 20 cases, I don't have an explanation for that. But we're certainly going to ask the judge for one. So I do not think the judge will give us a decision until very close to the end of the month. I do not believe that we will see any decision from the court on the 2020 litigation, extending the date or not extending the date, because he could say no too. He's the judge beyond that date. Now, if he extends the date, there are some lawyers who believe the government will not appeal, because they don't want the precedent on the books at the Court of Appeals. And the DC circuit is probably the best circuit we could go on this and go up. But as you know, we lost a Supreme Court justice Friday. Terrible tragedy, honestly. If this goes to the Supreme Court, just so you know, we lose. We lose at the Supreme Court. We lose there. And that's just how they're, that's just, take it from me, we lose there. But I don't think they'll appeal because they don't want to necessarily take the risk. But they might. So there you have it, which means they would delay adjudicating cases even further. All right, let's take a look. I know my glasses are all skewy here. Let's take a look. We got a bunch of comments here. I promised I would take some questions here. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you. I didn't want to put this banner up. Just welcome everybody. You know, you're here. If you want up-to-date information, I'm always putting stuff on Twitter, my Twitter account, probably why most of you are online tonight. You can DM me, but honestly, don't ask the same questions. And really, I understand how terrible your situation is because the consulate's run by awful human beings. I get it. You don't have to tell me, I know. All right. So let's take a look back here. And there's Simon Britton. Is that same Brit Simon? On Facebook, he's Simon Britton. I love that. And I do appreciate me running for president, but do not count on that. And so here's the first thing. Good luck tomorrow. All right, Marila. There is no hearing tomorrow. Just again, reiterate. It's just a status report on paper. So no hearing. We will keep you there. And by the way, Brit Simon says is a rock star as well. Thank you. Wissam has sent me tons of great information online. And let's see what here. Trump only hates illegal. He loves legal immigrants. Yeah. Thank you for that great quote. We know that's not true. Sudan ban. All right. So here's the deal. Sudan, Nigeria, there's like half a dozen countries that have another ban. We elected not to go back to the judge last week with that. Yes, it will piss him off when he realizes that. That'll be in our status report, that they are literally ignoring his second order. We know that. So basically, Sudan, we're betting that we can get it extended. I mean, I understand it's a tough bet, but it's the best strategic solution for us to move forward. USMB Cairo is still a mystery. Yeah, people from Egypt. You guys are awesome, by the way. You send me pictures of the U.S. ambassador going to Luxor yesterday, touring around, him and his wife and his staff having a great time. And then they're saying everybody's got to quarantine for 14 days before you can come to the embassy. Yeah, hypocrisy is rife in the Department of State. Let's not worry about it. Please, no DV 2021 questions. Here's what I tell you about DV 2021. I'll tell you this. You better pray that Trump loses. Because if Trump wins, there is no DV 2021. It's over. It's done. DV 2020, it's over. Nobody's coming after January if Trump wins. And family-based immigration, it's over. F2A, it's over. Just understand it. If Trump wins, it's a nightmare for you. It's a nightmare for us. Why don't they go online? That's a great question, Mohammed. They easily could, right? There's no law that prohibits them from going online, and there are certainly circumstances in which they have done it in the past. Again, we can put it in our status update, question why they haven't done it, and they'll have an excuse, but it is what it is. I mean, all we can do is tell the judge at this point. Yeah, I know. It's really tragic. Georgia is setting interviews for Azerbaijanis and then saying, oh, you have to wait 14 days before you can come in. But they set the first interview on Thursday and Friday. So you couldn't do 14 days before the end of the month. It's just absolutely crazy. Batuan, I've already said, I think it'll be later in the month. I think probably the 29th or 30th is when the judge will get the decision to us. Let transfer fund officer landing day, but an online interview will mitigate the time. Yes, I agree. I am 15. Why is KCC an interview for 2029 interview, which is 3 times asked for make an interview? Yeah, I can't answer that question because I really don't even understand it. North Macedonia, they have 366 cases. Ardent and I have actually exchanged text messages on DM on Twitter. They have 366 cases in the whole country. Why aren't every single one of them being interviewed? 100 cases a week. They could do it. They could set other stuff aside for a couple of days and do it. Yes, they could. Lots of crazy stuff like that. Let's see what else here. I've got my Oh yeah, we're not going to take that one. That's a different issue. Bad faith concept of judgment. Yes, bad faith is in fact enough because we believe they stopped processing in March, not in April, and we're going to get clarification on that from the government. But that would mean 7 more months of time to extend the deadline out instead of just 6 months to extend the deadline out. But yes, bad faith is enough. It's called law of equity. Courts are law in the United States. Courts are courts of law and courts of equity. They have kind of a dual role. So law is it ends on September 30th. That's the law, and you're out of luck. But if there is activity on behalf of the government that shows an intent to harm people, then that's bad faith, and that when we can get that accepted. Yes, Orzan, I will not confuse Azerbaijan and Cuba. You've sent me that email like 90 times. I got that. All right. Judge demonstrates, and why we should wait till the end of it. Well, Abdel, again, 2021, we're going to find out why they're processing those folks. And again, Wissam, why aren't they interviewing you? That's a really great question. You should be being interviewed without a doubt. Yes, in Ethiopia, nobody's been interviewed. Not a single human being. Why? How is that even possible? Again, these are the things that help us. Now, somebody just asked about this lawsuit that was filed called DV2020. You all know that I told you that it's not necessary. I don't think Judge Mehta is going to be happy. It was assigned to him. What a shock. I don't think he's going to be happy, and I am pretty sure that none of those people are going to get any preference. And I will be arguing against the preference for those people because it favored people with wealth. It favored people with the ability to give money to lawyers, to borrow money against their future with no guarantee that it's going to happen. And again, it's why we did this pro bono. But nobody should get preference for having paid money to get in this line because it's supposed to be a free lottery. So I will argue against giving them a preference. But I don't think Judge Mehta is going to be happy at all about that. Albanian interviewing, yep. What can I tell you? Would you have asked us if you were in 2021? Azaka, I wouldn't be on the phone call if it was 2021. I'd be waiting for 2020 to get done because 2021 ain't getting squat unless 2020 is done. All right. So remember, the judge's order doesn't allow for interviewing of 2021 people. It only applies to DV 2020. So they might be processing you at the KCC, but you're not getting a visa. You're not, because it's frozen by the proclamation. So yes, that's why I don't think that is necessary. I don't want to stay all night on the line. You guys have better things to do. Many of you are probably woke up to listen to this. I do want to thank you for the honor of representing you. It has really been a very unique experience. I've done litigation against the government for 30 years. I've had lots of fun cases. I've had lots of cases that have been heartbreaking. This has got both in it. And I want to thank you for your faith in us. We have a terrific team, both between Jeff and Phil and Greg and his folks, and Jesse and their folks, and Curtis and Raphael and their folks. You've got really good lawyers fighting for you. There's no schleps, as my friends would call them, on this team. And we remain hopeful. We would not have undertaken this litigation and spent our time without compensation if we didn't think that we could win. Just last week, we filed another lawsuit on fiancés. We filed that because we can believe we can win. We are considering filing a lawsuit on O1s for O1 visa holders that are stuck out of the country. Why are you keeping extraordinary ability of people outside the country? That makes no sense whatsoever. So we're going to be looking at that too. Now, this question, is there any hope? Let's see this here. When is the deadline taking a passport if we get a visa? Well, again, you can't enter the country with a visa until after the 1st of January, or I guess it's the 31st of December, because I think I guess it's January 1. But if Trump is reelected, he's going to extend it. So, Happy New Year. But there are people that are getting renewed stamps that should be able to come right away. So that's kind of where you are. Again, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. If you have questions, you can email me. I prefer that you don't send me a lot of emails. I get hundreds of emails a day, and I actually have a practice that actually does pay my salary here at Cook Baxter Immigration. We're not working, as I've always told you, we're not working on individual cases. So don't come to me about your individual case. We're not working on individual cases. We're looking on the class. Now, once we get the class done, we're happy to help out. But we got to get the class and get this extended going forward. So until next week, you guys can follow me here on Twitter, and I'll give you the latest updates about what's going on, where we are, and what happens this week. I will also post the government's status update as soon as we get it on the application, and we'll go from there. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you very soon.